Now, dude, that's a name no one would self-apply where I come from.
Hi there, and welcome to Baseball by Design. I am SportsLogos.net minor league baseball correspondent Paul Caputo, broadcasting live, as always, from the Sunday Helmet Hall of Fame in my basement in Fort Collins, Colorado.
And I am Dan Simon, also broadcasting live because there is literally no other way to broadcast. From the Studio Simon headquarters at historic Bowman Field in beautiful Louisville, Kentucky.
Dan, every once in a while I'll get a certain amount of grief from my friend Ed Rivera, host of the Dat Hat Chronicles, who reminds me that I am not at all broadcasting. We are recording and posting these episodes. They are not going out over any kind of airwaves. It's all digital. It's all on the internet. But it's just so much fun to say broadcasting rather than recording. I guess we could say recording.
I have noted that you say broadcasting, and I think we've even discussed this. So when I would introduce myself, I would say sometimes recording.
Yeah.
And then I was just recently listening to one of the episodes of your podcast, and I didn't like the way I was saying it differently than you. So I thought we both needed to be on the same page. And even though it's a misnomer, I'm on board with you.
I appreciate that, Dan. Dan, have I told you, speaking of how long we've been doing this podcast, this is going to be episode 236 that we're working on right now. Have I told you what we're going to call episode 250?
You have. You and Chris Creamer were talking about the help me here.
The semi-quincentennial.
And you're going to call the 250th episode
the semi-quincentennial episode.
And I am going to call the 200th Studio Simon Stumper, which is going to come up in about, give or take, 25 more episodes. I'm going to call it the Bi-Stumptennial. So you all have, you listeners out there have so much to look forward to.
Dan, we're talking this week, though, about a really fun alternate identity. The Madison Mallards are at it again. They unveiled a brand based on the movie The Big Lebowski, and we're going to talk all about that brand on this episode. So the Madison Mallards, these guys have been on the podcast before, Kyle Chisholm and Brent Bartels, and they're going to talk all about the work that went into this Big Lebowski-themed brand. I also have to say, by the way, thank you to those guys, because after we recorded that episode, they sent me a hat. I've got The Dude's hat, Dan, and it's very cool. I like it. These guys are a ton of fun to talk to, and they have a ton of fun ideas. Do you have a favorite? We've already talked about the Wood Chippers and their Fargo-themed episode. The Fargo Moorhead Redhawks did a Fargo-themed brand called the Wood Chippers. So we've already talked a little bit about Coen Brothers movies, but I don't know if we've talked about the Big Lebowski specifically. Is this in the Dan Simon library?
Is it in the library? When you ask that, do you mean like, is it one of my favorite movies, or have I ever seen it?
I'm just asking you if it's notable to you.
I understand its appeal and popularity. Matter of fact, here in Louisville, Kentucky, when I first moved here 24 years ago, next month will be 24 years, I noticed, like in shop windows, there were posters at a certain point of the year for the Lebowski Fest. We had here in Louisville an annual Lebowski Fest celebration, and we no longer have it. It was apparently they had really cool posters for it too. So I understand its appeal, but it's not my cup of tea when it comes to movies.
It's not your White Russian.
Yeah.
Dan, speaking of that Fargo Moorhead Redhawks Wood Chippers episode, one of the conversations we had on that episode, and I promised you I would follow up for this episode, you asked, what are the legalities here? Did they have to get any sort of permission from the movie studio or from the rights owners for that movie? So as promised, I did follow up with the team on that. And I said, did you guys have to get any permissions from the studio to use Big Lebowski imagery for a baseball logo? And so that was your question, Dan. And they wrote back very quickly, as they always do. We did not, because it was custom artwork inspired by the Big Lebowski and not officially licensed. So That was the team's answer there. None of this stuff is officially licensed. It's just, it's all an homage. And so there were no legal permissions required.
Okay.
Yeah.
Asked and answered.
Asked and answered. Speaking of which, Dan, as you know, Dan, we like to respond to listener emails. So I do have an email for this episode. And if anyone would like to send an email, please just shoot it to my personal email account, pauljcaputo@gmail.com, or shoot me a message on one of the socials, and we'll get to your question on an episode. This is a letter from a gentleman named Ed Minty, who writes to us from across the pond, as they say, Dan. He says, hi, Paul, Dan, and the rest of the team who help make Baseball by Design a superb listen every single week. I only discovered your show last autumn and have somehow found time to fully catch up. I am a UK-based, New Brighton, just across the river from Liverpool, baseball fan, and have been following baseball for nearly 20 years since my first game at then U.S. Cellular Field. I have since found a spiritual team in the Diamondbacks, but more of a general baseball fan, happy to buy gear from any team I like the look of, especially my growing collection of 5950 hats for each team. Since my interest in baseball is broad, I have become more and more interested in minor league baseball and college ball, and find that my hat collection may start to grow beyond the initial 30 MLB teams. However, minor league baseball merch is far harder to get hold of here in the UK, and shipping tends to cost more than the already expensive hats. What I especially love about your podcast is exactly what you say. Discover America, its history and culture by delving into why teams choose their names. I have visited your fine country several times, but have only experienced Major League Baseball games in big cities. My goal now is to experience minor league baseball in small-town America. I have discovered a new appreciation for all the fun and wacky names and logos that baseball provides, whilst staying true to their heritage. I have to applaud your fine colleague, Sir Dan Simon, for creating some fantastic logos and identities, foremost of which is the Rome Emperors. As an avid learner of history, especially ancient Rome, which I can experience firsthand in nearby towns and cities local to me, but one of my favorite animals is the emperor penguin. This logo does so much for me, but alas, as I said before, minor league baseball merch is so hard to get hold of here that my eternal quest for all Rome Emperors merch must wait. I apologize for the long letter, but I just wanted to pass on my appreciation for entertaining and educating me on a weekly basis. Kind regards, Ed Minty. What a nice letter from Ed Minty over there in New Brighton, just across the way from Liverpool.
Yeah, it's I always get a kick out of hearing of foreigners who love baseball because they're just not exposed to it the way we are.
Yeah.
Yet, obviously, with the internet and become a very small world. But I still really I love when somebody from the UK or anywhere, Portugal, you name the country, says they're a fan of American baseball.
It is funny to me too, like he's in the UK. You see so many, when you travel abroad, you see so many folks wearing Yankees hats, Dodgers hats, that sort of thing. But for Ed Minty over there in the UK to choose the Diamondbacks as his favorite team is a it's sort of a random team for a guy to choose like that. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that he likes minor league baseball. Maybe we'll have to see a way to get him some Rome Emperors gear, Dan. I at least have some stickers I could send him.
Yeah, I wish it was easier for people, but sorry, it's not.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you, Ed. We're about to go on this episode. We're going to speak with Kyle Chisholm and Brent Bartels. And then we're going to talk with Baseball by Design's cinema correspondent, Jim Christopher. So this will be a fun episode. And then you'll be back, Dan, with a Studio Simon Stumper.
Okay, I'll see you soon.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the podcast. It's been a couple of years, but welcome back to the podcast. Brent Bartels and Kyle Chisholm with the Madison Mallards. You guys have been keeping me busy on sportslogos.net with all of the alternate identities you've been unveiling. Listeners of the podcast may remember you guys were on back in December of 2023, talked about the Madison Mallards, talked about some of your fun alternate identities at the time. You've been doing a lot. You're back. Before we get into that, hello, guys. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thank you. This is awesome.
That first voice that you heard there was Kyle. That second voice that you heard there was Brent. Just, if you're trying to keep it straight on your scorecard there. You guys have been You have made a splash on social media. I know this because you asked me to collaborate on an Instagram post, and like all of my Instagram notifications are from this post that we collaborated on. It is The Dudes. It is a Big Lebowski themed alternate identity. It has made a huge splash. It has really resonated. This is not a recent movie, and I'm really interested where you guys got the idea to have an alternate identity based on the Coen brothers' classic movie, The Big Lebowski, The Dudes.
Yeah. I think generally for rebrands, we try to pull from pop culture and tie it into Wisconsin if we can. We have exhausted, as you've mentioned, a lot of our resources that have ties to Wisconsin. So kind of leaning back into pop culture or cult classics kind of draws a niche crowd, which is always a goal of ours. But I guess one of the more straightforward answers is our team president, Vern. It's his favorite movie, and he has always wanted to incorporate it into something of a larger promotion. And we had both seen the movie, and the outfit that the dude wears is kind of a layup for one of the crazier minor league baseball uniforms that could ever be put together. So we just decided to go for that.
Since you mentioned the uniform, I mean that seems to be one of the defining characteristics here. The dude is famous for wearing ill-fitting clothes. He's usually got a robe on. He's got this like crazy patterned pants. And to turn that into a baseball uniform must have been like a genuinely difficult design process. Who did that for you guys? Was it one of you guys who actually did the design work on that?
Yeah, I was doing it. Brent and I were kind of going back and forth based on reference images and stuff that we liked. But I had seen the movie a long time ago. Brent had seen it a little bit more recently. So the pictures that I pulled made a little bit more sense to him once he had watched the film. And we were like, yeah, when we put baseball uniforms together, like matching is always part of what you want it to look like. And nothing about the dude screams matching well put together. So like it is visually an eyesore, but it's like so iconic in that regard that it's cool because it's ugly looking kind of deal. So yeah, we decided to go with the jersey, and our uniform providers can also do sublimated pants. And we're like, we should just go and do the pants too. Like we were thinking about like, can we stitch a wig into the hat and make them all have long hair? Like how crazy can we make it? And I think it's crazy looking enough. So I'm really excited for everybody to see it.
So, Brent, you said that you do the social media for the team. I mentioned that there has been a pretty significant response to this, largely positive so far as I can tell. As you're managing the reaction to this, what are you noticing out there about this brand?
I think that because it's such a cult classic movie, everyone is in on it. And a couple of years ago, when we did the motivational speakers, Chris Farley's from Madison area. So that was really local and everybody was into it. And now with the dudes, we're trying to reach that broader audience. So it's really cool to see all of the comments that are just like quotes from the movie or gifts from the movie, like, and their responses. And it's of course very positive and awesome because everyone gets to have their little piece of it. And like, hey, I have the inside information for to be part of this team per se, and that's really cool to see because like Kyle did a lot of the design work on the actual jersey, and then I kind of took that and did the branding style for the social media posts and things like that. Being able to take one piece of it from the jersey branding and then accentuate it with the social media branding, it just kind of ties the whole thing together and really gets the audience involved with it.
Come on, you dropped ties the whole thing together in there. Obviously, that's been one of the quotes that is the most prominent in the social media responses I've seen. This, that jersey really ties the uniform together. That I mean, obviously the famous quote is that the rug that was central to the plot of the movie, he wanted his rug back because it really tied the room together. That led to all the confusion and the hijinks and the hilarity. Are you sick of any of the quotes yet? Is there anything yet where you're like, come on, it's too easy, it's too low hanging fruit, or you just love all the feedback?
I think on the release, it became a challenge to pick which quotes to use because there are so many. So it's like it does get old after a while, but then you look up what's another quote I could use, and there's a list of 50 more, and you're like, God, this movie really is quotable top to bottom. So it's funny because you see a lot of the same things, but you know that there's so much more kind of waiting.
I have said pretty much every time a phone has rung since 1998, I have said, phone's ringing, dude. Regardless of who's in the room, phone's ringing, dude. I also think that this movie is responsible for the cultural phenomenon of In-N-Out Burger. I think like Steve Buscemi, like craving that In-N-Out Burger. So I'm making all these references. Let's just say you guys are younger than I am, and you were probably either fairly young or not yet born. I'm not going to pry too far into that. But this movie was 1998. Was it part of your cultural landscape when the idea came up to let's base an alternate identity on this movie?
I think for me, I had never seen it, and it was before I was born, so I had no reference to anything other than I think it's a bowling movie. It's not really a bowling movie, but bowling is like the thing that keeps the plot going. And so I was like, oh, sweet, a bowling movie. I can get behind that. I like sport. And then I watched it the day before we released the brand because I was like, I have to watch it to know what I'm talking about on social. So all of it, like I was building this brand without even like seeing the movie, other than, Kyle said, this is the screen grab from the beginning where the little stars from the bowling alley are flickering. And like, so I kind of just based it off of that or based off the uniform. And I had no idea what I was doing. You could probably elaborate on a little bit more of your time, but yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. So it was really interesting.
I was born in 97, so still fairly young, but raised in a family that quotes movies constantly. And I've seen just about everything. Watched a lot of movies that were probably inappropriate for my age, I think, including Big Lebowski when I was a lot younger. So the frame of reference was definitely there. And then, yeah, just being able to quote it over and over again growing up. I've had a couple of like sideways looks where I can quote something that is definitely not within my age range and been able to show somebody else that I know what's up and have seen that movie before. So it's fun because even, some of our coworkers here are even younger than either of us are, and kind of like ushering that knowledge of this movie into their lives has been really funny because you have people answer the phone and they're like, they're asking about the dudes. Like, I actually don't really know anything about the movie. Like, what are we doing on that night that we can tell them about? So yeah, it's been fun. I think in the same way our players are very similar to the point where we did some other rebrands that are pop culture based and they have to have it explained to them as well. So it's a learning experience for everybody, which is really nice.
I'm dying to know what a player who has not seen this movie would think of the uniforms without having the frame of reference of, this is meant to be the Big Lebowski, right? Like
it could be an awesome social clip to like make them put the uniform on and be like, okay, what do you think this is from? And I have them just be totally wrong.
I want to see that now. I think we have to make that happen, right? Like for folks who are not familiar with the movie, I think we have to see that. Brent, did you before you started working on the uniforms? Did you watch the movie? Did you watch it from beginning to end?
I did, yeah. That was so not before I started working on the uniform or the branding, but yeah, the day before the release is when I sat down. Kyle pretty much made me. He's like, "You have to watch this movie before you're going to talk about it on social." So the day before we released it, like a Wednesday night, I watched it and I was texting him the whole time, being like, "Oh, there's that quote. I'm going to use that tomorrow. That's funny." And then I was like, "Oh, it's really not a bowling movie," but yeah, it was a good time.
I think that The Big Lebowski is a bowling movie the same way Mr. 3000 is a baseball movie, right? Like It's just sort of, it's tangential, it's ancillary, but it's not really, part of the thing. So the Fargo Moorhead Redhawks, as I'm sure you know, just released an alternate identity, the Fargo Woodchippers, based on another Coen Brothers movie. So this is two Coen Brothers in a matter of, weeks or maybe months here. That have come out. Did that land on your radar? Did you see that and you thought like, wait a minute, that's a, iconic Coen Brothers movie that is also an alternate identity?
I think we try our very best to keep tabs around all of independent baseball and just say, what are people doing? Because, we've grown to have like social relationships with teams like Portland Pickles or, people who geographically are so far away, but like are kind of within the same thing or their social voice matches ours. So they like to have a little bit more fun on social. So we try really hard to keep our eye on things, because we don't want to be too reminiscent of something else somebody else has already done, or walk that line a little too closely, but B, just because like people have such good ideas that it might unlock something else in your brain. So it is really cool to see those. And we've helped other teams too, like, hey, we're doing something similar. What's going on for that kind of night? And I don't know, like motivational speakers, we did like a Chris Farley impersonator. I mean, this we have to do a dude lookalike contest and that kind of thing. So it's fun. We'll take little bits and pieces of things we see around the other leagues and try to make it our own.
You've mentioned a couple of times here, and I've been remiss in not running down some of the other alternate identities that you all have done that have been so much fun. And like I said, keeping me busy as I have been, writing these up for sportslogos.net. Back in 2024, you had the Chris Farley connection. You played as the motivational speakers with a whole bunch of branding around his famous line about living in a van down by the river.
Yeah.
You did declare that this team was the worst when you played as the Wisconsin Worst, a sausage-themed identity. The OPE, which was a funny one to me, right? Like not being from the Midwest, sort of laying claim to that word that people use sort of as this multi-purpose expression, OPE. So that was sort of like a flannel and cow theme identity. Speaking of cows, you did something about UFO sightings. You played as the Space Cows. The this one makes me laugh every single time. The Neverminds, with your Mallards mascot in the place of the naked baby, with, if I may, an actual ding dong right there in the logo. So I do.
The wiener.
The wiener.
It's a wiener. I do need to pause as I'm running these down and just ask the question: how much conversation was there in the front office? How during those Wednesday staff meetings? How much conversation was there about? All right, do we put a wiener on our mascot here on our logo?
I think we had two versions side by side. Once the jersey got done, one with and one without, and everybody was clear. It's like you have to include the wiener on there, just because those who may not be aware, when we hit foul balls in our stadium, our PA person says wiener because if you get the foul ball and turn it into the concession stand, you get a free hot dog. So it's like that was a little too perfect for us. And then we submitted it to the league with that artwork, and it has to go through an approvals process. And so, kind of like a feather in our cap, I think, for our time here is that we have it in writing from our league that we had to, quote, like remove the wiener from the front of the jersey. So the players was a safe for work uniform, and the ones that we sold had the full duck, very reminiscent of the Nevermind album cover.
That's amazing. So that's how you can authenticate the game worn jerseys. Is if there's if it's full Ken doll, then it's authentic.
Yeah.
And Baseball by Design's wildlife correspondent Ranger Amy would not forgive me if I did not ask about the most recent article I wrote up on this team, which was about the you guys honoring your bat dog with an alternate identity. Your bat dog of 3 years, Maverick. You're going to play as the Mavericks with your bat dog wearing goggles. I'm curious about the goggles that the dog is wearing here, but you've had a bat dog for 3 years. You made him into an alternate identity. It's adorable. Everybody loves it. Not a pop culture reference, or it's a very local pop culture reference anyway. The Mavericks is a really fun one that you guys are doing.
Yeah, we really try every year in the fall. We come up with these ideas. We have a long list of ideas, like what's popular, what's funny, what can we do that's really cool. So this year I think it was relatively easier than last couple of years. Whereas like we want to do a pop culture reference. Vern was really big on the dude, so we were like, okay, that one's pretty easy, or at least the idea was easy. And then it was trying to build the brand of it. Our GM, Sam, she was like, we have to do Maverick. Maverick sells everywhere. He's really popular in the team store. Like we can't keep his merch in stock. So we're like, we'll have to do something to honor him. So that was a pretty easy one. And from there, it's just like, how can we make these things cool? By the time this releases, we are doing another brand, the Wright Bowers. It's a euchre themed night. So like, what's special about that is we're trying to break the world record for the largest euchre game, and that is held by New York in 1898.
Oh.
We're trying to break that record, bring it home. So it's really in the fall, we come up with all these ideas, and then we say, what's going to sell? What's going to get us attention? What's going to be important to the community? So we try to hit on all of these places. like you were talking about the Mavericks, really local, really popular, really important for the community, and then try to continue to outbranch that with pop culture or just really cool things that tie the state or community together.
You did it again, Brent, tying it together with the tying it together remark. The right the Wright Bowers. I was honored to receive an invitation to be a VIP guest at the euchre tournament. I would have absolutely loved to have been there. The timing was bad, but I would have loved to have been there. Right Bower is a euchre term. Correct me if I'm wrong. The left bower is the in suit trump card, and then the right bower is the out of suit trump card, right? Like, so if trump is diamonds, did I get it backwards?
Flip it.
Okay, all right. So the right bower is the top card in the deck.
Yes.
Okay, and that's how come you guys are the right bowers. That makes a lot more sense than what I was saying, actually. So,
At the beginning of the design process, we actually had it flipped where the uniform said left bower, and somebody else corrected us and said, actually, the right bower. So,
Kyle's not from Wisconsin. Neither am I.
yeah.
well, but you're tapping into something there, which is that euchre is a very Midwestern game.
Yes.
It is, and I learned it in college from my girlfriend who was from New Jersey, so I don't know exactly why she and her family played it. And then we continue to play it out here in Colorado with friends who have, lived in Ohio. And so, I sort of get that connection. But it's a fun card game. And I wish I could be there for this world record setting thing. But I'll have to find another way to get to a Mallards game. It's because of you guys, by the way, that I know the word isthmus, which is that strip of land between the two lakes there in Madison. So I have a couple more questions about the Big Lebowski, and I'm gonna let you guys get out of here because you're probably busy designing more alternate identities, right? Like you probably have like 3 more coming out this week. But the first question: any attempts to reach out to like Jeff Bridges and John Goodman and Steve Buscemi here? Like, have you tried to engage them on social media with this?
I think the funniest early part was like, okay, we always try to do like an appearance for somebody, and nearly everybody in that film blew up to be a massive movie star if they weren't already at the time of that movie being filmed. So they're well outside of our budget. We've tried to connect with people throughout the years. Like Bob Odenkirk, we reached out to him with the motivational speakers. He like famously wrote that sketch with Chris Farley, and so they see our messages. They don't always respond, and we don't know who runs social medias, but we did try to contact Smokey and had a little bit of back and forth there. He's not available for the date of the promotion, unfortunately. So we've been trying, but haven't really got that far.
What about Tara Reid? What's Tara Reid up to these days? Maybe she's available. So.
Might have to check back in.
John Turturro, maybe. Like,
yeah.
All right. Last thing about this: The Big Lebowski is not a movie that you can put up on the big screen and invite fans to bring their families in a blanket down to the outfield and let's all watch the movie after after the dudes take the field. What can you do with the movie on site? You probably can find a few clips that are family safe, maybe, but like, what are you guys doing with the movie at the actual ballpark?
Funny enough, because our team president was such a big fan, we have reaction clips on our board already from the movie, but they are either censored or cut right before a swear word, honestly, for the family safety of it all. But other things that we're trying to do is we're going to do the Dude Lookalike contest. We're going to give away a rug to a single fan, so the area rug, and we are going to do White Russians for the game, so those of drinking age can kind of indulge in the dude's favorite beverage.
Any marmots?
No marmots allowed. We had thought about asking if somebody had one that they could bring. That's like a show and tell kind of thing. But and then maybe the only other thing we've been looking into is like travel bowling lanes, where it's like a single bowling lane that you could just rent and they'll come and set it up and take it down for the night. So kind of in the works still, but those are harder to find than they may seem.
I'm still trying to get our manager is Donnie Scott, so I'm still trying to get some like you're out of your element, Donnie.
Yeah, kind of a layup. Yeah, get him thrown out on purpose that day or something, and then be able to put a clip directly after that says you're out of your element.
I love that this movie has this kind of cultural cachet that two guys who were born right around when this movie came out, or even after it came out, can still show up for an interview dressed as the dude, which I absolutely love. I may have to share that. And Brent, were you the one in the social media videos? That or was someone else wearing that costume?
I was not. I got our operations manager Sean to dress up and go bowling. In order to shoot this the release video and just all the social stuff, we bowled like 14 games down at a local bowling alley, Dream Lane. So shout out to them for helping us for the day. But we bowled like 14 games trying to get strikes and trying to get the clips and trying to get all the stuff for our release. So that was a lot of fun.
Are people going to be able to buy the pants? Like, are you going to sell those pants?
Yeah, part of the jersey auction will be so we'll have our replica jerseys in the team store. They're a little cheaper. They're a little bit debt quality, still great quality, but they're its own thing. The authentic jerseys will come from Rawlings, and then the pants are also coming from Rawlings. So it'll be sold as a set through that game.
That is amazing because the pants are, they're a big part of this uniform set, right? Like it's the jersey is cool. But what is that pattern? Like, did you learn what that's called?
When we were researching it, we thought they were Zubaz pants. And he wears all sorts of crazy stuff. So when you start to look at it, you're like, oh, that's not quite zebra striping or whatever Zubaz are, put together of. So we were able to find something that was like traceable nearly. So we went and found it, and it is, I don't even know what you would call the pattern, but it's certainly not symmetrical. It repeats in weird patterns and that kind of thing. So it's very perfect for the dude.
So you guys actually had to like find a photo and trace it in Illustrator.
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing work right there. That is that whatever they're paying you guys, it's not enough because that's incredible.
I'll have to play with
when I make it to a Madison Mallards game, what percentage of the stuff in your team store is actually Mallards gear, and what percentage is all these other alternate identities?
Since we started doing rebrands, the percentage of actual Mallards gear has shrunk significantly compared to the rebrand stuff.
I think it's probably like 50-50.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty close. But I think that's so cool because like you see the community dive into it and they get behind these rebrands. You might not see it like all season long. Like you might not see a dude's jersey at every game this season, but they'll come out in spurts or on that night specifically, like we'll have whole sections wearing the merch, or I'm sure on the dude's night specifically, there will be sections of people that look like Jeff Bridges. So it'll be a cool night, and people really buy into this. They're obviously our highest grossing things in the team store are rebrands, usually our jerseys and our hats. So I don't think it as a total, like one individual rebrand outpaces the Mallards, but as a combined, the rebrands are right on par with how much merchandise we will sell in the team store in a year.
That's pretty amazing. Well, speaking of all that merchandise, where can folks go to find your team store online? Where can folks go to follow you on social media? Where can people find the Mallards and all of these other brands online?
Yeah, Instagram is probably our biggest. That's just Madison Mallards, Madison Mallards Baseball. You'll find us. We have a picture of a duck. It's pretty easy to spot. Otherwise, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. You can follow us on LinkedIn if you so choose.
Wow.
On every platform, but Instagram is probably the biggest one so far. And then you can shop at mallardsbaseball.com.
Well, I've said it before, I'll say it again. This little hobby of mine gets pretty expensive, and so I think it's about to get more expensive for me here because this is one of my favorite movies and just really well executed and a ton of fun. So congratulations again, guys. And I bet we'll be talking again soon, either in person at a Mallards game, maybe on a baseball palooza or something, but certainly back on the podcast someday. So congrats and thanks for your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having us on. And yeah, we would love to record a show live at the Duck Pond. That'd be awesome.
We got to make this happen. All right, got to make this happen. All right, Brent, Kyle, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the podcast. The official cinema, how do you say this word, Jim? Filmmaking correspondent for Baseball by Design, Jim Christopher, host of the Ballpark Nation. Jim, welcome back.
Hey, I'm excited to be back. This is like the hat trick. To use a hockey term on a baseball show, this is like the hat trick, I think.
We got another movie-based baseball brand to talk about here, and our second Coen Brothers movie in like a couple of weeks. So this is a ton of fun. Recently, we talked about Fargo. Now we're talking about the Big Lebowski, a couple of the Coen brothers, like most iconic movies. The
Uh-huh.
Dude. This brand is really fun. Just got done talking to the guys, Brent and Kyle, about the work that they did creating this brand. I mean, head to toe, right? Like they got the dude's outfit, they got the pants, they got the shirt. The logo has him swinging a bowling pin. This movie is 28 years old. Why is this movie still resonating with us?
I think it's because it's the ultimate, in so many ways, stoner comedy. And those are the kinds of movies that are infinitely rewatchable. It came out at a time when we were really at the height of those, where they were more like the thinking man stoner comedy, I guess. Even, something like Dazed and Confused might even follow in. I remember shooting my very first movie, and we were shooting in a comic book store, and we had to shoot around when they were open, when they were closed. So our shoot time would be from 9 p.m. till 2 a.m. and then from like 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And so then we would kind of just zone out. And at one point, we must have watched The Big Lebowski like 6 times in a row because it was in the DVD player and none of us wanted to change it. So it's just, I think, infinitely rewatchable, which is always a good measure for a movie like this. And I must say that the bowling pin baseball bat really ties the logo together.
There you go. You got your first one. We should have like a little counter, like
The
ding.
first one is in. And if you don't think those jokes are not great, then that's just like your opinion, man. So
There you go.
there we
Ding. There's
go.
our second one.
There's our second one.
This character obviously he's not a great athlete. Although he's a terrific bowler, I guess. I mean,
He's a terrific bowler,
he's
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And not a golfer.
Not a ding. But to base a logo on this character is a little bit funny, right? Because it's not going to be like intimidating to the other team, or it's just pure, unadulterated. This is a fun cultural reference. Doesn't have anything to do with Wisconsin or Madison, like as these
Yeah.
other brands. So they just were just like, let's pick the most fun movie that we can make a bunch of references to. We were talking, the guys, one of them was 1 year old when the movie came out. The other was not even born yet. So like,
Wow.
they're like watching the movie, like that's where that line's from. This movie, like the idea of the Big Lebowski as baseball player is almost like comical. It's almost farcical.
Yeah, he would not be a baseball player. I mean, if you think about it from like he didn't really go to college. He just occupied certain federal buildings, certain administrative buildings. Like the idea that of all of them, I think he would be upset at the waste of space that the baseball field takes up. I mean, there's so many things that would be very anti the dude. But you know what he would like, though? He would like the leisurely pace of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
something he would probably appreciate.
He absolutely would, and maybe a White Russian while he's enjoying
Yeah.
the baseball game.
He would like the fact that all the players look like the different mothers of the Big Lebowski. If you remember different mothers, man, he's a hip dude. Yeah, it's funny to me because I probably would put it 2 or 3 in my rankings of Coen Brothers movies. So I adore the film.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. There's something so anti-establishment about the character. He doesn't
Yeah.
even like the Eagles, and then, like
I hate the effing Eagles, man.
yeah, and I'm with him on that. I'm definitely more of a Credence fan, but yeah, the dude would probably think a lot of this is pretty silly, although he would definitely write a check at the team store for however much is what he would be paying for.
He's gonna be buying a souvenir soda for 29 cents with a check, right?
With a check.
What do you think it is that makes a movie quotable? Is it just brilliant writing and the lines are just great, or is there, people want to be the character? Like why do we quote this movie all the time?
So there's a lot of things that add up to it. One of them being it's obviously really, really well written, but also is perfectly cast because it isn't even just Jeff Bridges as the dude, but it's John Goodman, it's
Right.
Walt as Walter,
Yeah.
it's Steve Buscemi who's perfect, but even like John Turturro as the Jesus. Like now, one of the things the Coen brothers do, and especially maybe not with Jeff Bridges, but they work with the same actors over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And so, like I mean, Steve Buscemi's in Fargo, right? Like we
Yeah.
talked about Fargo.
Yeah.
So they get their voices down, and so then what that allows for is really, really well written movies that fit the actor, and that dialogue ends up coming off just so natural. Market Zero, with the whole
Ding.
or the
Over the
ding
line.
or the you bring in Sam Elliott, anything becomes instantly quotable.
Right.
And so, I don't think you can set out to make a movie that way. I think that it has to come organically and come naturally. But I do believe that it is from the Big Lebowski is in many ways the most really captures their really off kilter personality in a kind of movie they love to make, which is an open ended crime thriller. There are just a few beats that make it not No Country for Old Men or Miller's Crossing, which also are in my top three of Coen Brothers movies. But I think that marriage of dialogue and actor is sublime and is really perfect for how they are able to create these beats that are just so memorable.
Visually, this movie is very distinctive, as many Coen Brothers movies are. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the things that makes this brand so successful, right? Like you mentioned, the bowling pin bat is a really critical element of this brand. The logo has the dude wearing his bathrobe, wearing his shorts, wearing his sandals. The uniform itself has his like I don't even know what we're calling these pants. Like
Yeah.
are they pajama pants? Are they Zubas? Like, what are these pants that he's wearing? The guys were talking about how like that pattern is not readily available. Like, you can't just go buy they had to like
Yeah.
trace screen grabs in Illustrator in order to get those pants, which I think is hilarious. So like visually, this is a very distinctive movie. I think these guys did a great job translating that into the hat. Like they've got like the neon shapes from the bowling alley. They've got a great representation of the dude swinging the
It
bowling
actually
pin.
even reminds me, and it's weird how it feels familiar to the movie, and even if it's not, but it almost feels familiar to the beginning of his bowling dream sequence.
Right.
Even though it's not what he's wearing, it feels like it's capturing that same energy somehow.
Yeah.
Which I just, again, I didn't obviously I didn't know until you told me that they went through those lengths to make this happen, and I just love that because again I'm not sure something you would necessarily do with affiliated minor league baseball, but shows you again what you can do because it's another movie. You're not like we were saying with Fargo. We're not going to have a all right after the game's over. Let's all sit down and watch The Big Lebowski. Like
Right.
you're not going to do that, but yet they found a way to really make it work.
As I was reading about this team, as I was talking to the guys just now, I could not stop hearing "The Man in Me" by Bob Dylan, right? Like, and maybe that's just because, like you say, that what they've accomplished with this brand here really evokes like that opening title sequence, and his dream sequence, like that sort of from the beginning of the movie, like that's what the brand sort of evokes to me. I'm going to ask you a question that I asked the guys from the team here, which is if you are not familiar with the movie, you see this logo, you see the branding around it, you see the uniform that you're wearing. You as a baseball fan, imagine you've never seen The Big Lebowski. What do you think when you see this uniform?
Well, okay, so where do I see it? So if I see it on the Mallards website where they also have like I believe they're doing a Frank Lloyd Wright thing. I think that it does a pretty good job of filling into what the Mallards have really been doing since they've been doing
Yeah.
these things for the last few years, which is quirky and weird and fun.
Yes.
But I don't know that I don't know that it screams baseball. Like I would be into it, but I don't think like my dad would. But I think that particularly the logo with it being the baseball bat, at a minimum, you're getting some kind of fun slacker energy. And I think that's enough to get some people interested.
So you mentioned, this team has done some fun, quirky stuff. They're playing as the Wright Bowers, a Midwestern. I don't know if you're familiar with euchre. Does that make it all the way down to Texas? There, it's a Midwestern card game. Euchre is. They're
No, I'm not a
yeah.
card guy though.
Okay, well, so they're playing as the Wright Bowers. It's from a very Midwestern card game called Euchre. They've got an identity based on their bat dog. They had the one they did with the Neverminds that was based on that famous Nirvana album. It has an actual wiener in it. Space Cows, tribute to UFO sightings. Ope, which is just like like an expression that they use in Wisconsin. They obviously did the Chris Farley one. They have done a lot, right? Like you, through your show Ballpark Nation, have explored across the country, minor league baseball teams, minor league baseball brands. You are acutely aware of sort of what works and what doesn't. And sometimes these alternate identities they're too wacky, they fall flat, or they've just been done a million times before. So as someone who has seen a lot of teams, seen a lot of baseball, seen a lot of identities, what do you think it is that they're doing, this collegiate summer level team, not working with giant firms, right? Like they're just doing this stuff in house with Brent and Kyle. What are they doing that's really popping out and resonating with baseball fans, or even people who just love the stuff without being baseball fans?
Well, those guys, I don't know if they were there, but we actually visited them, I think, our last season of Let's Get To before we transitioned to Ballpark Nation. So we got to get a little bit of the inside scoop behind them. We had a great time at the ballpark. If you've never been, it's random and crazy with like the brand itself. But one of the things I noticed is that Madison kind of has some Austin vibes to it.
Mm,
At least old Austin vibes, not
yeah.
before Austin became LA East. Well, it's different now. But I feel like they do a great job of capturing that when they're getting weird. And you're right, they do a lot of stuff that's different, and they don't do a lot of the stuff that's easy. I mean, they do some of the food stuff and like that's whatever. And I was gonna say I'm kind of hoping that the movie thing becomes the new food thing because I'm
Yeah.
so here for it if that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could be on the show more. But I think that they have a very good idea of what their community is and what they expect. And I will say that one of the other things that I noticed going through the team store, because I haven't made any purchases yet, but I'm going to, is everything is affordable. I think the jersey's $40. When was the last time you spent $40 for a baseball jersey? So they actually have created this situation where they have all these brands, all these identities, all these looks, but people can afford to own them. Versus, I'm not going to mention who, but a AAA team Star Wars jersey came out. You know me, I'm all about it, but it's $110, and
Yeah.
I don't know that I can do that. So
Right.
I think they've realized that they can pull off having 5 or 6 different looks a season because the fans can actually afford to own 5 or 6 different looks a season. And I think getting weird and bonkers with it, Lebowski, I assume, is still a popular college movie. I assume it's one you still sit in the dorm and maybe things are going on that the dude also partakes in. If you don't like it, again, that's just like your opinion. I don't need a
Ding.
ding for that one since it's the second time I used it. But yeah, I think that's part of it, Paul, is it doesn't feel, for as much as you might look at it and go, oh, it feels like they threw a bunch of stuff against the wall and saw what stuck. I don't think it's that at all. I think they realize that they have a very big, diverse community that's open to all of it, and they're really servicing that community.
Yeah, because they haven't had ones that just like fell flat, right? Like, I mean, it's not like that, 2 or 3 broke through out of 15.
Mm-hmm.
It's, they're pretty consistently, getting hit after hit here. Let me ask you a question. We got a question from a reader. As you know, we're taking emails from folks, messages from folks. Email me on my personal email, pauljcaputo@gmail.com, or message me on the socials if you have something for the podcast. We got a message from Adam Hazel. We took this question a couple of weeks ago. The question was, what non-baseball movies, like The Big Lebowski, like Fargo, like potentially Jaws, I know a favorite of yours, right? Like, what are some non-baseball movies out there that you think would make a good alternate identity for a baseball team? And it's a big question, I know.
Yeah, well, I would have definitely said Jaws, right?
Yeah.
But Jaws is actually going to be happening. The Martha's Vineyard Sharks have started doing it because Martha's Vineyards where Jaws was Shark, they're the Sharks, and every weekend in Jaws, the weekend that Jaws came out, they play as the Amity Sharks. And in fact, this year they're going to have a very handsome baseball travel host come down and throw out the first pitch. That's
No
me.
kidding. Is that
That's
person
me.
on this podcast right now?
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Dashing is the word I would use to describe him. But you know what? It's funny because I can think of 3. Actually, no, I can think of 4 off the top of my head that would be amazing. I would love to see something be done with Back to the Future.
Yeah.
You absolutely could do something with. I mean, you do the uniform that looks like he's got the life preserver vest thing that
Yeah.
he's wearing. I could absolutely see an Indiana Jones style night.
Yeah.
Because I've seen Stranger Things pulled off successfully, that leads me to The Goonies being a great opportunity. But I would love to see a team in an all-black uniform with a red rose right there and play as the Corleones for the night. Let's do it. Give me
Very
Godfather
nice.
night, somebody, please.
Very nice. So in Back to the Future, Hill Valley was in California.
Yeah.
So like maybe we get like the Inland Empire flux capacitors. That could be a team.
I'm texting Steve Went as soon as we're done. It's his episode this week for Ballpark Nation, so I've been in a text string with him anyway. We've got to make that happen, and you and I have to show up in costume.
Make the flux capacitors happen. It's funny you mentioned Indiana Jones. I don't know that this episode has dropped yet, so you wouldn't have known this, but my suggestion was that the Indianapolis Indians could rebrand as the Indiana Jones.
See, that's perfect.
Right?
I mean, all you need is a uniform that looks kind of like the leather jacket, and
Right.
then here we go.
Jim,
Yeah.
I hope that all of these teams do all of these movie-based brands, because that means we're going to keep getting to talk here on the podcast. It's we're on quite a run. This is the third one of these that we've done.
Third or fourth, yeah.
Our official Baseball by Design cinema correspondent. Hey, where can people find Ballpark Nation?
Just go to ballparknationusa.com, and that'll get you the links to everything you need to know. And the schedule has changed, so come see me at the ballpark. We're about to hit the road. So come find me, and I'll definitely buy you a White Russian if you're interested. I don't do the other stuff though.
It's funny that you say that, and I haven't mentioned this on this episode. I literally never have. I've never tried pot, and I live in Colorado, which is why I get tired of the pot jokes about Colorado. I still loved the movie The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
I still love that it's legal and taxed to support schools here in Colorado. So, keep doing all that. But yeah, it's just like even though I've never tried it, I thought Big Lebowski was fantastic. So
yeah, I tried it once after the Army, and I think that was just too late to try it.
Yeah.
It was 30, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. It wasn't like it was something I objected to. It just like never came up. So
Totally.
Anyway, Jim, that's a wild tangent, but hey, thank you very much. Maybe we will see you in Martha's Vineyard or all the other places that you'll be. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Paul.
Deep within the recesses of his secret headquarters, somewhere in Louisville, Kentucky, sits Dan Simon. By day, Dan is the owner of Studio Simon, but by night, he tries to stump one Paul Caputo. This is Studio Simon Stumpers.
All right, everyone, welcome back. It is time once again for a Studio Simon Stumper. This could go a lot of directions here. I'm not even going to begin to guess. I hope it has something to do with the amazing pants that this team wears when they play as the dudes.
It has nothing to do with the pants. It has to do with the movie itself.
Oh.
And specifically the dialogue in the movie. Well, first of all, when was the last time you saw The Big Lebowski? By the way, I just recently saw it, not from start to finish, but I would say a couple of weeks ago. It just happened to be on, and I caught a little bit of it. So how about yourself?
It's been a few years. It's been a few years since I've seen it.
Well, you're going to have to think back a few years.
Okay.
Because our Studio Simon Stumper today asks, which of these words do you hear nearly 300 times in the movie, nearly twice as many as the other two?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Is it dude?
Okay.
Is it man? Or is it
I can hear all three of them very clearly in my head. God, that's a great question, Dan. That's really fun. I mean, they talk about the dude. I really want to go with man. Dan, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if I didn't go with the F-bomb. I'm going to say the F-bomb.
How did you go from man, which was the one you were apparently leaning to, and then just all of a sudden say you would never forgive yourself if you didn't go with the F-bomb?
Because man is a boring answer. I can hear him saying it. I absolutely can hear him saying man like that. But I think the F-bomb is a funnier, more entertaining answer that I really want to be true. And so if I'd gone with a boring answer and missed the fun answer being correct, I wouldn't have been able to forgive myself.
That's interesting. Now, if I told you you were incorrect, would you drop an F-bomb?
Yeah, but then I would bleep it.
Okay. Well, no need for editing because you are correct.
Wow, that's amazing.
The F-bomb is dropped 292 times in the movie. That's more than Al Pacino used that same word in Scarface. Can you believe that?
That's incredible. It's genuinely incredible. I love it.
Next, as far as frequency goes, is dude, which
Okay.
or versions thereof, where with 160. So
Okay.
we're talking about 292 to 160, and man only 147 times. So
Huh.
you would have been way wrong if you
I would have been way wrong. And then how would you have stumbled across that fact if it was just the word man, right? Like, or even, I guess dude would make sense. The Dudes is the name of the brand. So I'm glad I didn't think of that. Like if I had thought, oh yeah, this team is actually called The Dudes when they play with this identity. If I had thought of that, I might have said, oh, that. But that is a stumper worthy of this episode, I think, Dan. It's a very funny one and perfect for this episode.
Well, I've got more. Do you want some more?
I absolutely more stumpers or more just facts?
I'll give you a stumper.
Oh,
An unofficial stumper because I'm not
Okay.
going to give you choices. I'm going to just.
this is
How
a
many-
friendly an exhibition stumper.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what this is. Give me just a wild guess at how many times the dude is shown bowling.
Oh, is it zero? Does he never actually bowl even though he's at the bowling alley?
That is correct. He's never shown bowling. And here's another thing. There are some things online
Yeah.
where people have done some very deep dives into this movie. People have spent a lot of time dissecting it. They really go into the weeds with everything to do with this movie. So one of the things apparently is Donnie, played by Steve Buscemi, I love his character in the movie.
Yeah.
I would say he's my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah.
Actually, he's like my favorite character in any movie he's in.
He's always great. He's always great. I love Steve Buscemi.
Okay, so he is shown, it's like a thing that he is shown wearing a number of different bowling shirts with names on them. But none of the names on the bowling shirts he wears are Donnie. So
That's a very funny little detail. Yeah, I don't know what the definition of a cult classic is. Like what if there are metrics where you can determine what's a cult classic. But I would think that the Big Lebowski has got to be one of the all-time cult classics.
oh, by all means. I would say the fact that a movie that didn't do that well in the theaters and then did very well by other means of watching it, that is part of being a cult classic.
Well, I think it may warrant a rewatching by me now. Dan, this episode was fun. I say that every week, but this episode was extra fun because we got to talk about this fun movie. And then the first time ever that the answer for Studio Simon Stumper had to be bleeped. So thank you as always, and we'll see you next week.
Paul, you.